What is happening, friends of CCP Podcasting? Welcome to Beyond the Bell Live. I am Chris Page. This would usually be a Thursday night spotlight, but tonight, nay. Tonight, we're going beyond the bell, baby, and I cannot wait to sit down and chat with my guest today. Before we get started, welcome, Mr. Rain. I see you, buddy. Go ahead and put it in the air, man. We've got Goth from the Netherlands. What's going on, brother? I see you, UK Paul, and thank you for everyone else who is joining us. By all means, drop a message in that chat, and we will pass them along for sure. And that goes for questions as well. I hope everybody's having a great day. Before I get too deep into the party, I got to show some love, man. Today, we're rocking GMJ, my man out of Orlando, Florida, out of the House of Champions, baby. And a part of CCP Podcasting presents Chapter 1 Genesis, rocking his t-shirt. You can grab you one as well. You need to hit up GMJ on Instagram. Check the link down below and hit him up and support independent wrestling. Shout out Harry's wife. I see you. Gonna have a good time tonight. I can already feel it. You know, you have those moments where you know you're about to have a good show. I have that feeling that we are about to have a great show. The guest tonight, fellow content creator. I have seen his stuff on Instagram. Have been able to develop quite the little rapport. I was say reputation, but rapport with him over the last several weeks. As we're gearing towards our event, Genesis is an official sponsor, our first official sponsor. So you guys better show him some love. We're talking to none other than the man from Throwdown with Matt. I almost said Matt Strings and Things because I think that is a thing as well. Matt, welcome to the show, sir. How are you, man?
Man, I am doing absolutely terrific. Like I said before we went on the air, I've been looking forward to this all week. It's really unique being on the other side of things,
Right.
because I know what all's involved in making one of these happen, and it's interesting being in the other chair.
Right. You don't have to play with the buttons tonight, brother. That's all on me. So
Yeah.
Listen, welcome to the show. First of all, I feel like over the last couple of weeks, we've really been able to connect in a large part. Has to do with professional wrestling. It also has to do with content creation. You know, you've got some shows that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about your sponsorship with Genesis, but I'm going to treat you like I treat the talent that come on the show with my first question. Okay.
Go for it.
And I think it might be very similar to a question that you may ask, but I love to know, where does your fandom for professional wrestling come into play? Like, everybody's different. Everybody came up in different times, watching different things. What drew you in, and at what point in time did you fall in love with professional wrestling?
Well, I became a fan around the age of 11. And next week I'm going to be turning 56. So, doing the math, it's 45 years. I had my first exposure to professional wrestling as a kid in Central Florida. And the first wrestling I watched was actually the old Florida Championship Wrestling back when Gordon Soley was doing the commentary.
Come on.
And the first feud that I remember as a kid was Dusty Rhodes and Kevin Sullivan. And this was back in the early 1980s. So I mean, we're talking. Basically, I grew up back when the territories were still a thing.
We're talking Army of Darkness, Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah, yes. That's exactly. The Purple Haze, Mark Lewin. And,
absolutely.
And I remember the whole, the period of time where Dusty had to become the Midnight Rider.
Mm-hmm.
It was, and so, when you're 11 years old, Kevin Sullivan was a scary dude. Come to find out later, the man was a complete sweetheart behind the scenes. But I mean,
didn't stop him from going to the grocery store and gimmick, brother.
Yeah, man. But the whole, the whole satanic gimmick that he had going at the time, that's some heavy stuff when you're 11. I mean,
Yeah, I didn't see any of that until after the fact, but obviously, being a connoisseur of professional wrestling, I have seen what's
yeah.
out there anyway on YouTube of Kevin Sullivan back in his Army of Darkness days, and brother, that is
Yeah.
not somebody I wanted to come across in any form or fashion. Because at that point in
No,
time, like I
no.
mean, '89, I was 6. So like I remember being scared shitless of the Undertaker when he showed up in the WWE, WWF. Like,
Yep.
like could you imagine if that scared the fuck out of me? What Kevin Sullivan would do, and I would run
Oh
away
my
wetting
gosh.
my
Yeah.
pants.
Yeah. But so a couple of years after that, right around 83, we moved to Georgia, and where I've been ever since. And thankfully in the Atlanta area, we actually had a pretty good smorgasbord of wrestling from a ton of the
Yeah.
territories. I mean, we had world class, we had Memphis, we had obviously Georgia championship wrestling that ultimately became WCW.
Hmm.
Um, and we also, interestingly enough, because of the whole Black Saturday thing where McMahon tried to kind of move in on Georgia,
Yep.
I had a bad taste in my mouth for WWF. And I didn't start watching that until I was in college, around 1990. Um, and so, I was really primarily a WCW kid. Um, and, you know, uh, and during the Monday Night Wars, the whole time I was pulling for WCW. I mean, just because that was,
Well,
that was the horse I had in the race.
so fun fact, I too
Okay.
was a WCW guy because I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama. So I was
Ah,
right there in the South before I moved down to Florida.
yeah.
So I was always, a Southern wrestling guy, growing up, and I always find ways to connect with people when we come in because, guys, contrary to popular belief, there's no real conversations other than maybe 5 or 10 minutes before we go on the air. We find ways to connect, and that's a way
Yeah.
that I can connect. I was, I, you, yeah, I was, I think I cried the last Nitro. I think I shed
Oh,
it. I think
yeah.
I shedded a tear.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking, because I knew what that
Yeah.
meant. That
Yeah.
I get it, 1000%.
I mean,
We,
watching Flair and Sting hug, I was just like, oh, you know.
yeah, yep. That was a moment. Flair wrestling in a shirt because he's out of shape, or he felt like he was out of shape. I mean, there's no telling. I don't know. I just saw it on
Yeah.
television, but like I get it. I 100% do, and it's the unfortunate part of the business is it's very body friendly, and you've got to have a good physique. But I think that's cool as shit that you were a WCW guy. I
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Uh,
Okay.
in your opinion, being a
Right.
WCW guy, who
Yep.
is who would you put on the Mount Rushmore in regards of WCW champions of all time?
Flair.
Okay.
Um, Flair would be the top. I would also, definitely put Sting uh,
Hmm.
on that Mount Rushmore. Um, uh, well, we're sort of, kind of blurring the lines somewhat with WCW and NWA.
Right.
I mean, uh, I'd have to throw Harley Race in there. Rhodes, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, and probably, well, probably those four
Okay, so
would be my.
for me, with just I think WCW wise, I don't think this is a hot take. Even if it is, I say it, I mean it. I think Ron Simmons was, and it wasn't because his run was it's legendary because he was the first African American to be recognized as a world champion. I think that
Mhm.
is something that we've got. For me, I can't look past. And while there's a lot of tremendous greats in the WCW era, right? Just that era, you got Flair's on that list for me. I think Vader's on that list, and I think it's
Yeah.
older WCW. Once we get into Hogan era, I just kind of
Yeah.
and kind of peter out on it a little bit. But those three for me are kind of my top WCW champions. And Sting, obviously, I guess would be there too because I think he held the belt as well. But we do have a question from chat for WCW. What's one of your favorite WCW moments?
Well, not really necessarily a big fan of the guy, but I was in the Georgia Dome the night that Goldberg went over on Hogan. And
Oh,
just being in the Georgia Dome that night and hearing the roar. I mean, that place came unglued. So, as far as just getting to personally experience a moment like that, being there and experiencing Goldberg going over Hogan was just insane. So,
I
that would be.
that has to be a moment that to be there, is a
Yeah,
completely different level, right? I
yeah,
think
absolutely.
the only time I stepped foot in the Georgia Dome was for Mania, and I got to see the Miz beat John Cena. So,
Hmm.
I it wasn't nowhere near a Goldberg Hogan right there in peak. I think that they dropped the ball there. I get it. I understand why they did it. That was pay-per-view. That was
Yeah,
revenue. That was
yeah,
once in a lifetime cha-ching moment.
yep,
For me. But I mean, they put it on. I remember where I was the night that match happened. That's
yeah,
that's how it resonates. It's like one of those iconic moments in professional wrestling, and you witnessed it. You were there. That's fucking
yeah.
nuts.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that is a memory I will always treasure in my fandom. Is the fact that I was there, and yeah, that was very very cool.
Um,
Somebody from, I guess, old school WCW that I'm just going to just bring up. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. But somebody I always felt was just horribly underrated was Brad Armstrong.
oh, brother. I knew that we were kindred spirits. I knew it. I have a
Yeah.
very strong fandom for Brad Armstrong. That you talk about a utility fucking player in every sense of the word
Mm-hmm.
and could do so much. In the early days of this channel, one of the shows that we would do is Legends of Wrestling. And
Mm-hmm.
really the reason why we had to stop why I stopped it was because you couldn't really get the content cleared on YouTube. And if I can't clear the content, then it's you're wasting your time. It's just pointless at that point.
Right.
But we still do those special streams here. One of my favorite episodes of our Legends of Wrestling was on Brad Armstrong. We sat down and watched 2 hours, found 2 hours of stuff I haven't seen before, and had a fucking ball. Did it at 7:30 in the morning on a Saturday. It was
Very cool.
fantastic. We've got some Mount Rushmores. It looks like Paul says Goldberg, Flair, Booker T, and Sting for some WCW Mount Rushmores. Goth over in the Netherlands. Where did your answer go, buddy? Let me find it. I got you. I gotta find it. Get back to me on that one. Goldberg, Flair, Booker, and Sting. I feel like I missed it. You're gonna have to get it back to me. But anyway, well, fast forward. At some point in time, you just get this wild hair up your ass to try and get into professional wrestling podcasting. And you have learned along the way that this can be some of the most gratifying stuff when you sit down and
Oh,
do it.
yeah.
Let's
Yep.
talk a little bit about your platform. Introduce it to my audience here at CCP Podcasting, and tell us a little bit about where it came together, because it didn't start with wrestling, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, it didn't. Um, I basically I got started doing live stream conversations, which is kind of how I term what I do.
Right.
Uh, in January of 2024, and the first 6 months of doing live streams, I was actually doing live stream conversations with unsigned bands. I'm a hobbyist musician. I'm a bass player, and I play a little bit of rhythm guitar as well.
Okay.
And, music and professional wrestling have always been two major passions of mine. So, I got started doing these chats with musicians, and I decided, July of last year, to expand the content into wrestling. So I started doing that, and I discovered very quickly that it was easier to get reliable bookings with wrestlers than it had been with musicians. Nothing against musicians, but they tend to sometimes be a little flakier. Whereas, the wrestlers, especially the guys that are busting their ass on the indies, are really wanting to get seen and get their stories out, and and have the opportunity to come on a platform and more or less put themselves over.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just found that the wrestlers were more reliable and were kind of easier to deal with in many in many cases. So I started back in July of last year doing the wrestling content. My very first guest was a guy who is he's the owner and promoter for Phoenix Wrestling Experience in Augusta, Georgia. A guy named Cowboy James Hunter,
Mm-hmm.
and he and I have become very close friends, since this, and he helped me, kind of get my first several guests. And after that, it really just kind of took off. And I mean, now, I just hit episode 150 in a little over a year. So I'm actually kind of proud of that.
Yeah.
I've slowed down the output just a little bit. I'm trying. You know, I'm doing usually two, sometimes three a week. For a while there, I was doing three, maybe four a week, and it got to where it was starting to feel like a grind, and I never want it to get to the point where it feels like work.
Mm-hmm.
If you know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't mind the grind. That's not what I'm saying. But when it starts to feel like drudgery, that's when you need to sort of keep things in balance.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I use the Restream platform, and with that, I'm actually able to be live on up to 5 platforms. So I'm usually streaming on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter/X, Facebook, and Twitch. And and then, after each episode, I edit out some clips that get reposted onto Instagram and onto TikTok, and then I edit the audio into actually podcast episodes that get uploaded to the various podcast distribution portals and such.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, uh It's definitely an undertaking, but I mean, I absolutely love it. And like I was telling you, I have met some of the coolest people doing this, and I'm booked up actually pretty much through the month of October at this point. So I'm sort of usually a rolling 4 to 6 weeks out, which
Yep.
is it's a good. I feel like 4 to 6 weeks is a good sweet spot interval.
Yeah, you can always make changes if you need to, and if something comes up,
Yeah.
it can always and sometimes it happens. Like I think
Oh, it
our,
does.
you always remember your first, and
Oh
I
yeah.
remember mine. Obviously, when we decided to do these Beyond the Bells, like I just didn't have a whole concept at all, other than I just want to sit down and talk to you and learn about you and learn about where you're at and in your areas. And we, Australia wrapped their arms around us pretty quickly. And Red Shaw
Yeah.
is a guy who came out and was our first guy to say yes. And what's crazy is, in comparison, like within our first 6 episodes, I think 3 of our guests were from Australia, and
Oh, that's cool.
one of the other guests is who introduced us to Georgia. And I think it's interesting because you're in Georgia, Skrilla the Great.
Yeah.
Uh, he's a part of the show in November. I've had a very strong loyalty and connection with that guy because I credit him for getting us started in the States, because Georgia was where we hit first. And I think we had like 15 or 20 different people, like real quick and in a hurry. And then it just
Yep.
kind of blossomed out from there, and off to the races we are. I think in the same boat, like we're between our other live shows and our interviews, I think we're rolling almost 7 days a week in some form or fashion. But it's like
Nice.
you have to love this shit
Oh
to
yeah.
do that. And thankfully, I have a loving husband who appreciates my passion and sees where this thing's going, because you can tell when you're really putting your all into something, when it starts to give back. And the biggest misconception about podcasting is that, first of all, anybody can do it. Technically, that is correct. Anybody can sit in front of a camera, and anybody can record themselves, and anybody can go live. There's a lot of work that people
Yeah.
don't see that goes on behind the scenes, which
Right.
is editing the
Yep.
content. For every 1 hour of content, you're looking at 3.5 hours maybe to get it edited and clips, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it does turn into a job, but you have to love it. And I think
Oh
that's
yeah.
where, the proof is in the pudding when it comes to content, and putting out quality content and good content. Is you can tell when people are genuine and authentic. And I think that's one of the things that drew me into you. And because I saw your clips, and I've seen your clips for a while. Excuse me.
Mhm.
But I was on build mode. And at that point, for us, it was, we're building relationships and we're making things happen, and we're doing some things on the
Right.
backside. But I've seen what you've been doing, and I've seen some of the guests that you had, and I try to pay attention to what's going on around me. When you pivoted into professional wrestling and you got this thing going, right? Goth has a question in chat. What was who's one of your most memorable guests so far? Or, and I'll parlay that with a twofer. Outside of your most memorable guest, what's been your most fun show? Who's been your most fun guest that you've had I mean, you have a blast with all of them, but we have certain ones
Yeah.
that stand out. And if I need to name first, I will, because I have several that just stand out to me as fantastic episodes that I truly had an amazing time with. Give me some of yours, and give me some of your most memorable guests.
Well, some of the most memorable have been, the first guy that I had on who was kind of a name, sort of known beyond, beyond the indies per se, was Marty Casals.
Mm-hmm.
Marty the Moth from Lucha
Mm-hmm.
Underground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to have him on the show actually fairly early in the show. And so sort of getting my first, like I said, I almost hesitate to use the term name wrestler.
Right.
You know what I mean. Um, you know, uh, having my first opportunity to have somebody of that level on the show was really cool. And I mean, since then, I've had C.W. Anderson
Mm-hmm.
and a couple of other folks, and I've got some other stuff coming up as well. But and as far as just entertaining, one of my very early guests was actually one that Cowboy actually hooked me up with, a guy named Drew Adler.
Okay.
And he wrestles a lot here in Georgia and also up into the Carolinas. And the guy is just absolutely loaded with charisma. And it's just hysterically funny. I mean, we kept each other laughing almost the entire show. And so I mean, that was just a lot of fun. And just as far as just really good conversation and being able to kind of pick the brain of somebody. um Another guy, actually, he's out of South Carolina. He's tied in with Palmetto Championship Wrestling, Ethan Case's group up there.
Mm-hmm.
A guy named James Johnson. He was he's been doing this, I guess, for about 10 years, but just the experiences the guy has had. I mean, and he was somebody that literally, it's like you could just wind the guy up and let him go, and he would just spill his guts.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just it was a lot of fun because, you know and you've probably run into this too. There's situations where sometimes you feel like you have to really pull stuff out of people, and when you've got somebody that just is eloquent and can really carry their side of things, it's really a treat. And you can almost just sit back and let it happen. Um,
Yep. Yep. I've
but
been there.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I guess those would be some of the more memorable.
I well, I'll get to your questions here in just a second, Paul, and to your comment, because now I do need to preface this, Paul. If I read that comment, then I must tell the story, and that's totally up to you. And I will let you make that decision. But okay, fine, we'll tell the story too. The question that he says, "Hi Matt. First of all, welcome to CCP podcasting. My question for you is, if you had the power to do so, would you have changed the way the Monday Night Wars ended?"
Ooh, that's really one of
That's a
those
trap.
imponderables. Yeah, it is.
That's a trap.
You know, um, if I could have changed it to where um WCW could have stopped and literally frozen at a point before everything went off the rails, then maybe, uh, you know, it's like maybe the the 96 to maybe into early 98 WCW. If you could freeze it right then, like I said, before things went off the rails, and WCW was still in a sustainable format and sustainable environment, then maybe I've often wondered what would have happened if WCW had won the Monday Night Wars. It's almost the same type of thing. What if the South had won the Civil War? I mean,
Right.
it's so um, you know uh, the WCW that existed at the end of the Monday Night Wars. If that version had won, probably professional wrestling as we know it would have likely ceased to exist. So
Nothing says
it's sort of
professional
a
wrestling like Judy Bagwell on a pole. Nothing.
yeah, yeah,
Just
yep.
saying.
Yeah, it got really weird toward the end.
I'm telling you. Shout out No Game Unturned. Welcome to the show. You're on with Matt from Matt and with Throwdown with Matt. I have Matt strings and things because your link tree is actually underneath you, like with all your social media and all that fun stuff. So that's why I'm like, oh, that's why I keep saying strings and things because it's the link tree. You guys need to check that out too because it's got all of his links to all of his YouTube, all of his social media, all that jazz. It's right there. And the Throwdown with Matt over on Instagram. That's right there on the screen. So if you're here and you haven't followed, good do your job.
Please do.
Yeah, good do your
Thank
job.
you.
Paul's comment that he had, and this requires a story. Fun fact that he is the first person to make me edit a live show. That is a fun fact. There is a story behind this. We were doing I was doing these shows called the Fireside Chats, right? Where I just would bring random people on, just talk to them for 60 minutes. 60 minutes with me and we'll just talk. No script, no concept. Again, content creation, you're constantly thinking of ideas and you got to try them if you're going to know if they're going to work or not. I have Paul on. He's from the UK, Wrestling Perspective from the UK. I was right around the time for the Royal Rumble. I asked him who he thought his surprise entrants were going to be. This motherfucker says Rowdy Roddy Piper. And I said, Paul, Piper's dead. And I said, congratulations. You just made me edit a live show. So there you go. And the clip exists. It's still out there. I think I deleted it, but I can go back and find it. But it's a thing. It's definitely there. Anything can happen when you're live. You're aware.
Oh yeah, I'm very aware of that, and something that I've noticed, and you've probably experienced the same thing, Chris, is it's almost not a live stream if something doesn't go sideways.
I get several of those, and you would think at this point in time, because I'm the one that's doing all of it for the most part, like I would know. Like legit, yesterday I was talking to I call him a friend of the channel, and it's a guy that I've sponsored many times, and I'll go out of my way to sponsor as much as I can. Is Devious Cass. He's a young guy up north, fucking fantastic. In the next 5 years, everybody is gonna know who this guy is. I'm not kidding you. This guy has it. So he's a friend of the channel. We've had him on once. I asked him to come back because he just turned 18 and he just started traveling. He just started getting on with like Beyond Wrestling, some reputable companies. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about you're 18. We're gonna long story short. We go on the air. I fixed my screen with him. Like because you transition from screen to screen, they're not the same. Well, I didn't fix my screen like on the main screen. So when I went on the air, it was just blank. Like nothing was there. So yes, I get it. Something that can go wrong will go wrong. And I have found that most of the time when things go wrong, it's when I'm on with somebody internationally.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that? Yeah.
Technology is great until it isn't. I mean, it never fails to amaze me, though, that we have reached the point with technology where we can have a more or less seamless conversation with somebody on the other side of the world,
Hmm.
through the miracles of broadband and live streaming. I mean, I would say the majority of my live streams have been domestic, but I actually had a wrestler he's actually a Ukrainian guy, but he's currently in Spain. So he was my first international guest. And then, since then, I've had a tag team from London, the Ashes,
Hmm.
Angelo Shaka and Zaire. But the interesting thing about them is they actually met and became a tag team while they were in the U.S. training at Black and Brave with Rollins and Merrick Brave out in Davenport, Iowa. So I
Okay.
mean that they had sort of an American connection, but they're back in England now. And actually, Angelo Shaka, interestingly enough, is actually Australian. But when they met and discovered their chemistry as a team, he decided to just go ahead and move to England, and so that they could continue their tag team. But he's basically an Aussie in England. So
I remember. So first, I didn't live stream our conversations. I pre-taped them.
mhm.
We would live stream watch parties and watch alongs and everything else. But like, I was like, well, maybe if I didn't do this live and put it over on YouTube, like it would increase our YouTube platform because there would be specific content just for there. Boy, 8 months later, I said, no, we're gonna start live streaming. It's so much
Yeah,
simpler for me to just pop
yeah,
on, do it. I can download the video immediately afterwards and I can do my job.
yep,
And then I can
yep.
just move forward and start clipping because I don't know, man. Like, I don't use software. I do use software, but I don't use like any AI shit. Like, I literally listen to every episode back and
Hmm.
wait for the moments to start clipping stuff. And I usually get about 10 or 12 per episode. And I may only drop 6, but I still have those extra just in case because there's always something there. How are you editing your stuff? Are you doing stuff like that, or is there something else that I'm missing? Because I know that I'm old school as fuck, dude. Like, I'd rather.
Well, um, interestingly enough, I had sort of fooled around with video editing for a few years before I got into live streaming, and I was using a an editing package called Luma Fusion, which was iPad based for a
Mhm.
while. And when I was fixing to go into the live streaming, actually, my son had a friend who he played lacrosse with, who has his own video production company, and he's now graduated from high school, and his company is flourishing. So I said, well, ask Greg what he's using for editing. So he was using this package called DaVinci Resolve.
Mhm.
And so I've shifted to DaVinci, and they have a really incredible free version that has the majority of what really anybody would need.
Mhm.
And I used the free version for quite a while, and then a few months back, I decided, okay, I'm going to go ahead and put the money down and buy the paid version, because the nice thing is, it's not a subscription type of thing. You pay it, and you've got it for life.
Okay.
And so I bought the paid version of DaVinci Resolve. And the nice thing about that is it does have a lot of the AI features built into it. Like when I'm done with a live stream, I download the video from Restream, and basically pull it into DaVinci, and then I it has a feature where it will transcribe the entire thing, and then all you have to do to clip is literally go through the transcript, find an area that you're wanting to clip, highlight it in the transcript, and hit create subclip, and it'll create clips based on what you've highlighted in the transcript. It is amazingly cool.
Okay.
And I mean that feature alone has really been a game changer just in doing my clips and my editing. Because I experimented for a little while with using a paid AI clipping thing, and I was paying about $20 a month for that, and I was never entirely happy with the results. And so I found out that, DaVinci in the paid version had that available. And I thought, well, rather than paying, 20 a month, I'm just going to go ahead and buy the paid version. And so I'm definitely a DaVinci Resolve proponent as far as video editing goes. On the audio side of things, I use mostly a package called Audacity, and I've had other people trying to convince me to try other audio packages, but thus far I've pretty much stuck with Audacity, but I could be convinced otherwise, I think.
I keep it the Discord, man. I'm gonna keep it real. I have learned that with dealing with international people, like with this right here, how this is set up, I have less
Hmm.
lag. I have less. There are still some minor stuff that happens here or there, because obviously you're talking to people across the world. But this is where I have found that I was like, all right, and I tried using several other platforms as well, but I was like, all right, I think I found my sweet spot. And then, of course, the people that are in the Discord server are mostly people who are in the industry. So they're,
Right.
trying to connect them. If they want to connect, they can definitely do that and see what happens. And maybe they can get out there and make some money together. That's the name of the game. But I'm
Right.
interested because, again, like I do everything, through OpenShot. That's my video software. Just clip it and go. But if there's a way to make it faster, brother, I may be interested in diving down that rabbit hole, if you will, because time, brother, time. It's
Oh,
it,
absolutely. I like I said, uh, some of the AI features that are within the paid version of DaVinci have really just been a game changer for me.
mhm.
I feel like I've kind of got my workflow streamlined to the point where I won't say I've got it down to a science, but it takes up considerably less time than it used to, which is like you said, time is is of the essence.
Yeah, it's
So,
valuable, brother. My day start every day at 5 o'clock, and I'm in front of the computer from about 5:30 to 7:30, usually editing. And then off to work,
mhm.
and then oh shit, we got a live show. Yeah, it's I have to force myself to like pull off. Like I'm gonna drop the rest of the month that I've got. Like today, I got confirmations on like five other shows that are happening, six that are already happening, and I think there's another two or three that are coming that are going to be just for us. It's going to be game changers. And what I like about the idea of partnering with you in certain areas in a lot of aspects is because of your platform and the fact that if there can be a mentality amongst content creators that if one's successful, all of us can be successful. We can work together
Exactly.
and we
Yeah.
can
Oh, for sure.
network and we can turn people. I can turn people on to you. You can turn people on to me, and
Yep.
we can collectively work together to continue to put all of these guys and girls over and get them out there to different audiences,
Yep.
because that's the name of the fucking game. If we can introduce them
Absolutely.
to one person, one, just one that follows, that didn't follow them before, that's a win. And I think that as content creators, we can totally do that.
Yeah.
And I feel like, again, segue here to talk about Genesis and talk about chapter 1. Our podcasting platform is fucking putting on a wrestling show. It is happening. It
Yep.
is happening on the 22nd of November. A lot of really good talent have already been announced for this show. And when I thought about what this meant and what I wanted to do with it, and how I wanted to try and encompass other people, I immediately thought about reaching out to other podcasters who are number one, have the same passion, because I can see the passion that you have for professional wrestling and independent wrestling. It exudes through
Yep.
you with your stuff that you do on your channel, in your shows. Like, yeah, I'm gonna reach out. Hey, man, here's the deal. I'm sponsorships for podcasters. I'm like, this is where I'm at, and here's what I'm trying to do. Like, I want to put your logo out there. I want to, announce you as. I want to collaborate with you on post. I want to tag you in post. I want to make sure that your name is in the credits of this show as a sponsor and where they can find you. Like, I want to cross promote if something comes up on your side of the equation that we can return the favor on. That's the name of the game. And
Yep.
and you answered that call, and you answered it in a very surprising way. So when I approached you on this idea of, hey man, I'm doing this show, I really think that, because we had, at that point, we were exchanging some DMs, and we're just kind of like, here's what I've done, here's what you've done, this is what we're comparing notes, essentially, as far as like
Yeah.
content creating and trying to see what we can do. Like, where am I successful at versus where you're successful at, and then let's just know there's no secrets, there's no insider trading here. This is what I'm doing, this is where I'm finding success, and vice versa. And it led to, hey, here, this is what I'm doing. So when
Yeah.
you from your side of the coin, because we've not talked about it verbally, we've discussed it, through text. Your thought process on, first of all, being pitched this idea that a podcasting station is going to do an independent wrestling show in Orlando, Florida, and
Yep.
there's some people attached to the show that you do know. But
Yeah.
before we get there, let's your perspective on the idea when we talked about it.
Well, like I said, before when we were talking before we went on the air, just the way this was all coming together, really, it reminded me a great deal. I mean, obviously on on an even more indie level, it reminded me very much of the whole concept of the original All In show that ultimately led to, the creation of All Elite Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the the idea of a podcasting, group, podcasting, conglomerate, partnership, whatever you want to refer to it as, putting together an indie show was just really cool, and again, it really harkens back to the whole concept of betting on yourself and betting on what is possible. And I just, you and I had talked enough that I knew I liked what you were doing. I liked your passion. I liked, I felt a kinship, and like you were saying, as red hot as the business is right now, it's one of these types of things that you've really got to strike while the iron is hot. That, and with the business being as hot as it is right now, there's room for everybody, and a rising tide lifts all ships. And and I was honestly very honored that you approached me about it, and just were wanting me to be a part of this. It was just really a cool thing to feel like I was, getting in on the ground floor potentially of what could be a very cool thing for the business in general.
Well, when we put this thing together, again, my intentions were to and are to do something for the guys who came and given me time. And, in the real world, like I told you before we came on there, thankfully, I work a job where it affords me to where I can save some money. I'm not a guy that goes out and about and gallivants. It's not what I do. I go to work and I come home and I do this. Uh,
Yeah.
but we're in a position to where we can do a show. And this is something that as a channel we talked about. We've been a channel for about 2 years, a little over 2 years. We talked about this in the infancy, but um I knew when I did this, like the sponsorship, so I'll just keep it 100. Like I'm doing most of the guys at like $50, and ultimately we're gonna work collectively and plugging and making sure that we get your names out there. There are a couple of guys who are a little bit more. There's a couple of guys who are $100, but I think that's it. We think we have 14 or 15 guys on the card. And like I want to get as many names attached to this on the podcasting side of the equation as we can, because I think that it will. I know what it's going to turn into. I already know. I was in LA last week, and paperwork is on the way, and there's chapter 2 is already coming, regardless of the success or not of chapter 1. But it's to give back to these guys and
Hmm.
show them that we give a shit. We're more than just sitting here and not doing it and not backing it up. Like, here's an opportunity for us to put on a show with what I feel is going to be some of the best talent, and what I feel that are some of the best talent, not only in Florida, but also, from Georgia, and from the Carolinas. And I got a guy coming from Texas, that are coming in, they're coming to do this thing because they believe in what the vision of what we're doing is. And it's something that is going to be special. And it's going to be a show that I wanted to get as many people involved, and still do. I was screaming from the rooftops. I want as many people involved as possible, because there's a lot that's rolling right now that most people don't know about yet, outside of the guys that work for me on the channel, work with me on the channel. But having you a part of it is a big deal. To me, it's a big deal because, I look at it as a way to advertise you and advertise what
Hmm.
you have going on. Again, everybody's audience is different. It's like when I come on your show next week, I I've not been in front of your audience before, but this will be the first time that they're going to be introduced to me. And
Yeah.
it's a partnership. It's a way that we can work collectively together and we can grow together. And
Oh, for sure.
these shows are just a small piece of it, man. Like, there's, bigger there are a lot bigger things that are on the horizons, and you're 100% correct. It is a ground floor opportunity. Half the fun is not knowing what is going to happen. That is
Right.
and it's all or nothing. This is all I think about every fucking day, and have thought about for the last 40 days since I knew that we were going to do this. It's just one of those
Yeah.
things, man. And to have you on board, it's a step for me, it's a step in the right direction. somebody gives a shit. Somebody believes in what we're doing, and we'll see the product. Which, side note, are you and the missus coming to the show? Like, I know I said something to you before you came on the air, and I don't mean to put you on the spot now. And if you can't answer that question right now, you don't have to answer that question right now. But the door is wide open for you guys to come down and watch this thing and experience it.
Well, I will. I'm going to have to talk it over with the missus and see what our calendar is like, because that's around the time of Thanksgiving and everything else.
Yeah, it is
So
the Saturday.
So I mean, I'll say a definite maybe.
Okay,
I mean,
I'll take a hard maybe. I'll take a hard maybe right now
yeah,
because I'd love to have you
yeah.
guys there. And that invitation is going to be open to anyone who steps forward and wants to sponsor. Now I'm appreciative of your sponsorship, but you got to know where this one's going.
I do.
UK Paul, if you're still in the chat, buddy, if you've not had a lager or two and called it a night, this dude right here sponsored your favorite piece of talent, and I gotta know, why did you pick Matthew motherfucking Ennis of all the talent attached to this show? You had the list. You have names that have not even been announced yet that are attached to this show. And you go Matthew Ennis.
I specifically chose Ennis. I mean, there's reasons. I mean, for one thing, in my wrestling fandom, I have always tended to gravitate toward the heels. I find the heels to be more compelling characters. And I had Ennis on the show, and yeah, I mean, the guy's a dick, but he's our dick.
No,
It's
he's
kind
your
of
dick.
like,
He's your dick. He's not mine.
yeah,
That guy.
okay.
So listen, I have made no bones about it. My issues with Ennis are very simple. He just don't know when to shut the fuck up. And when he doesn't know when to stop.
Diarrhea of the mouth.
He's his own worst enemy, bro. His own worst enemy. And if he would just learn that, like, sometimes is the best, he would be so much better off. I talked to Johnny Faith. You had him on as well on your show.
Yeah.
So I know, I know that the guy has good in him. I know he does. But why? I mean, like, he's in House of Champions, and just can't seem to pull a win, like, legitimately, without pulling some bullshit and some fuckery. Like, it's like, bro, if you're that good, you should probably be able to get the job done without wrapping a chain around your arm. You know what I mean? Like, you it's just like, bro, you're not going to convince me, and that's just, you're not going to convince me that you're good. I watch 40 plus hours of wrestling live every fucking week, damn near. You're not going to convince me you're good when I see everything else that's going on around you. And if he would just be a little bit more humble and, understand.
Humility is not his strong suit.
I'm just saying, man, I've had him on here twice, and, like, I'm not kidding you, I have never seen my chat as pissed as they were with him on the show. Ever.
Yeah, I had him on, and then when I had Max Danziger on,
we love Max.
Max is cool, and I enjoyed the episode with Max because it gave me the opportunity to talk shop in both the wrestling
Yep.
world and the music world. But during Max's live stream, um, Ennis did a run in and basically showed up in the live stream, and he and Max proceeded to talk shit to each other, which was a blast. But
Well, can I be fair?
I don't know.
Like I was
Yeah.
watching that, and the moment he showed up on screen, I left. I, I
Yeah,
left.
yeah.
I could not. Like that guy makes me so fucking happy. I want to puke.
Does it just make your skin crawl?
It's not that it even makes my skin crawl because, like, legitimately, I don't hate the guy.
Yeah,
My thought process is this: if you hate anything, then you're giving that you're giving it emotion, and if
yeah,
the world there's enough hate out there in the real world. I don't
yeah,
have time for that in my world. Like, having the podcast is a good time. It's fun.
yeah.
And with him, like, he got pissed because I mispronounced his name. I didn't never saw him before, and I called him Enos instead of Ennis. My fucking bad, bro. Get good. Maybe I'll pronounce your name and I'll know who you are. I don't know what to tell you, but he he's a dick. But I know that he
Yeah,
has good qualities in him, and I wish that he would,
yeah.
just back off a little bit and, like, take the we say that he always looks constipated, right? So, like, he needs to find a way
Oh, yeah.
to take
He's
that
got
shit.
what is it? Resting bitch face.
Yeah, he needs to let that toot go and fucking relax, man, because not everybody's out to get you. However, I will tell you this, and here's a little nugget of information. I have not announced a single match yet. I've just rolled through all of the talent, just about.
Yeah.
Match announcements haven't even started. I will give you a message that you can run and tell Matthew that he should probably
Okay.
tune in to your show, because
Okay.
I have made a phone call and I have found I didn't find a man. I found a warrior.
You found the man.
No, I found a warrior. And I have it on good authority that on your show we're gonna our first match announcement's happening, and if this
Nice.
goes the way I think it's gonna go, I think we may be seeing him, and in some form or fashion, and Mr. Ennis will know who he will be dealing with, and I promise you that this is you've called down the thunder. Well, now you're gonna get it, and I hope that he's prepared, and I hope that you're prepared, because I would hate to see the look on your face when your horse comes up short on what could be
Yeah. Well.
the beginning stages, the genesis, is, if you will, of what's to come as far as live events with this channel. You've, first of all, made history. I want to congratulate you on that, because you've made history by being the first official sponsor of a live event show that we are putting on. So I commend you and thank you so much for that, because while it means that you believe in what's happening, and you believe in where
I
this
do.
can go, and that this is a
Yep.
it tells me that I'm not fucking crazy. Or if I am,
Yep.
there's somebody out there that's just as crazy as I am, and I'm here for that too. To see what happens here. So, in the event that Mr. Enos comes up short, and he will, because I have all the
Yeah.
faith in the world when this thing goes down, and when this announcement shakes, Fuck around and find out, Matthew.
Yep.
Are you going to be able
Hmm.
to tell me that you backed the wrong horse, or are you going to stick by Ennis and if and when we run back Orlando and he's attached to the show again, would you sponsor him again, or is this like a, hey man, you got to get this done, or we're gonna have to reevaluate things?
Time will tell. It'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out, because he did get when I had him on the show initially, he did get a little testy with me when I brought up the Flex Simmons days.
What a dick. Oh yeah, you should have asked him about the. Do you know the whole story with me and Ennis? I mean, I can give it to you real quick, and we can start tying a bow on things after that. If you want to know the full.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
again, this thing started randomly. Our channel, and some of this we'll go deeper into in your show. We
Yeah.
watch a lot of stuff that's not an interview format or a conversation format. It's watch-alongs. Like I have a couple
Right.
of co-hosts that have just jump on and we watch this stuff and we react to it for the first time. We came across House of Champions and I mispronounced his name. He saw the stream and went out of his way to fucking let me know I mispronounced his name. And I legitimately was sorry. Like I legitimately was. I was like, man, I'm not trying to piss anybody off, but when he kept going, we got to a point where I was like, man, you know what? Fuck you, dude. And like I addressed him on the next stream. I was like, here's the deal. And then I dropped it. I just put it out there. And I went to the HOC show. Because again, found out it was an hour and 2 hours away from my front door. All right.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you go and support it and go and buy a ticket? Because they do a lot of their shows are free and they build to their ticketed events. Those ticketed events are special. I've been to the last two, and I'll be at the one in December. They are fucking special. It is a different feel. It is a different vibe. What they're doing at the HOC, the entire staff, Renee, Keikoa, Bobby Fish, Jamie Stanley, the whole crew,
Yep.
production, Chris, they got all of them are doing such a fucking fantastic job. Fantastic. When people ask me here in the South, well, where do I need to look? You need to look no further. Go straight down to Castleberry to the HOC because they're doing it right. They're doing it right. And I can't, I know that there are probably other schools out there that are doing it right. I know with my own eyes, being in that venue on multiple occasions, it's special. It's real. The love and passion for getting these students and getting these guys and girls ready is legit. I was there.
Yep.
So I brought a sign. And it was Matthew Ennis's body as old Flex with a little baby crying superimposed on his head. Little baby head superimposed. It was the worst graphic and the worst poster that you could imagine, and it was supposed to be. So, well,
I can only imagine his face.
Well, the motherfucker. All right, so this is a show where they announced at the beginning, it was him and Destin, that whoever wins is going to move on, and the main event's going to become a triple threat for the championship with Patty and GMJ. Shout out again, T-shirt, GMJ, get it now. Ennis wins the match. Okay, well, the main event rolls around, and I'll be a son of a bitch if he didn't win the belt. He ripped the sign after the match. He pulled the sign and ripped it. And was out the door. No problem, right? The last show, like he made a point to like pretty much get in my face without getting in my face. Like he was really close. He got mad because I was giving him the bird. Like I was doing this. And making sure that he got the jest. And a loss, here we are, man. And reality is this: it's nothing to me. It's a game. To him, I don't know what the deal is, but it's Matthew. Matthew's just
Yeah,
Matthew. Yeah, that's just who
he
he is.
is. He's one of a kind.
He's an interesting fellow for sure.
Yeah,
For sure. And there's
yeah.
a lot to be said about him, and I will save that because I know that he's going to be watching. When we get around to next week, we get to your show, and that's next Thursday, right?
Oh
Or
yeah.
when is that? When is that? I've
It
already
is Tuesday, the 16th.
the 16th. Okay, yes, I have that
Yeah,
blocked out. Perfect. I just had to make
yeah.
sure. It's like I'm.
Which is incidentally the day before my 56th birthday.
Oh, we're gonna be partying on the Throwdown with Matt,
Yes, we
guys.
are.
What other kind of things do you have going on that you want to talk about, that you want to plug? I know that wrestling is a big piece of it. I know that you've got your music show that you're getting back up off the ground. What do you want to plug, and what do you want to get out there?
Well, I mean the focus of things definitely remains the wrestling. I am I recently did a music episode for the first time in
I
really
saw.
forever. Yeah, and I wouldn't mind starting to do some of that, but I want to keep the focus on the indies and on wrestling. And I guess as far as what's coming up, really just keep an eye on my socials, specifically my Instagram and my TikTok, because those are the platforms that I do most of the announcing of what's coming up. Like I said, I'm booked up pretty much through the month of October. I've got some really exciting stuff coming up. I've got one thing that I can't wait to announce, but it's still not completely set in stone, but something very cool is coming. So definitely keep an eye on my socials. And actually, I've got something else cool coming. Late October, October 20th. I'll go ahead and say. I've actually got, as of today, I was able to get Austin Aries booked.
Okay.
So he's coming on October 20th. He is kind of just getting back into the business after taking some time away,
Mm-hmm.
and he's going to be coming on to basically sort of talk about what he's been up to, and he has a new persona and a new outlook. And so I'm definitely excited and honestly honored to have the guy coming on. But I've got one other thing coming that hopefully within the next couple of weeks I'll be able to make a firm announcement on, because I'm waiting on a definite date on this. But another fairly big name is going to be coming on the Throwdown. And aside from that, like I said, I've got a lot of stuff coming up, and really just keep an eye on my socials because good things are coming.
Fantastic to hear, man. That's a big get too, man. Congratulations. That's good to hear. I can't wait to check that one out. And as
Sure.
Matt said, guys, it's right there on the screen, man. It's the Instagram, the Throwdown with Matt. There's underscores attached to that, guys, but it's right there. It's been there the entire show. Again, if you haven't followed already and you're in here, shame on you. Matt, man, it has been an absolute pleasure to sit down with you for over the last hour or so and just kind of chit chat. And I know that we've really just
You
scratched
know,
the surface of everything, but this has been an absolute blast.
it really has, and like like I say a lot on my show, just nerding out about this stuff with like-minded people is just the best thing in the world. It really is.
Mm-hmm. Oh, just wait, man. We'll dive into a lot more on your side of the equation and your side of the coin. And again, I'm going to tell Ennis who he's facing, and might as well, it's a main event match. This is probably the main event of the show. So I didn't tell you that when you sponsored Ennis when I was putting this card together. I went, yeah, because it wasn't until after you did it. I was like, you don't even know it, but yeah, it's Ennis is in the main event. He don't know that yet. Don't tell him. Shh, motherfuckers, don't tell him either. Is there anything you want to say to the people before we get ready to close things out?
Just thank you guys for taking the time to watch this, and I'm excited about what's coming. I'm excited about this. Definitely working further with what Chris has going, and you know, like I said earlier, a rising tide lifts all ships. And the business is just amazing right now, and just excited to be a part of helping spread the word of the indies.
Just wait, hold on, because it's about to get real in a real way. And again, guys, the easiest way that you can support is by sharing, and subscribing where you can. Matt keeps it simple over on Linktree. It's Matt Strings and Things. You can look him up there to find all the information. It's been on the screen the entire show. Again, Instagram, that's where it's at with Matt. The Throwdown with Matt. Go over, hit that follow. If you have not done so, again, fucking shame on you. My stuff's right there on the screen, guys. If you haven't followed already, you probably need to do so, because we are about to take off in a major, major way. Again, breaking news already. Chapter 2 is already in the works. It's already happening. We already know where we're going. We've already got the venue. We've got everything squared away that we're going to get squared away for right now. But stay tuned for that, because it is going to be fucking epic. For my guest today, Matt, I am Chris Page, and we will see you next time.